So, Marcello, congratulations on your work on Wonder. You're the composer of that film, which has proven to be a surprise hit at the box office. What do you think the special appeal of this movie is? Why do you think people gravitated towards it in such a big way?
I think the message of kindness, it's something. I mean, it is the most obvious answer that I can give you, but it's the truest answer. It's people are, starved for it. I think everybody wants a little bit of kindness in their life, and I think it just really hit a note with people, and it's amazing to see. I mean, I have been doing this for a long time, and I've never been involved in a film that had this kind of connection, and it's amazing.
So, I mean, what did you think the first time that you saw a cut of it? What were your initial ideas for it musically?
Well, the first time I watched it, I cried a lot, so I didn't have a lot of ideas musically. But the second time through, it was a gradual process. I knew that the thing that I really wanted to capture was the spirit of this wonderful boy and his 10-year-old spirit, and we never wanted to really forget that, even though there's all the challenges and all the sort of social commentary and many things in the film. Still, it's about a 10-year-old boy, and how to capture that without infantilizing it. That's what really I thought about the whole time, and how to do that in the most profound yet, childlike way.
So then, I mean, how did you go about doing that musically through your different themes?
It was really about melody and about playing things for Stephen with picture, without picture, and as agreeing on the framework of what the sound should be. Stephen was very familiar with my music, and by Stephen I mean Stephen Chbosky, the director of the film. He was very familiar with my music, but at the same time, there was nothing I had done that really fit the mold in terms of a family movie like this and this particular message. And this is really the first time I've done a movie that my kids can watch. So it was different, sound wise. There was a lot of experimentation, and everything needed to ultimately feel like a song to him. Like it was a perfect little melody no matter how short the cue was, had a beginning, middle, and an end, and a real kind of child song-like quality to it.
One of the great qualities of the movie is that it doesn't over sentimentalize things. I mean, certainly this is a movie designed for children, but it doesn't talk down to children.
Absolutely, yes.
So how do you do that in your music?
Well, I think you don't talk down to them. You do something that really feels, profound, and that it's really affecting to you. I mean, I think one thing I have in common with Stephen is that we both feel like the emotional reaction to the music. It's something that is really, it's in here, it's in your stomach. It's not even in your brain. And I think if it connects to an adult in the right way, it will connect to a child as well. And he really was very particular about not having kiddie music. Like would have been certainly a way to go. And the other side of that was the humor. It was very important to have to really nail the humor of Auggie. He's a funny boy, and his main weapon of defense for the entire movie is his humor. And it really, it really works for him, and it works for the film.
You've also got a lot of other characters surrounding Auggie, his parents, his sister, his friends. Can you talk about how you express them through music?
Yes, the next biggest sort of musical character in the film is definitely Via, the older sister. And for her, we went for a more sort of like a little bit more of an indie teenage approach, more guitars and kind of a band kind of sound. And she was really a close second in terms of just the complexity of her character. And she had actually more than one theme that was basically for her. And there was a certain brooding quality to her. But at the same time, we wanted to be very careful, again, not to go what you complimented the film in the beginning was always our biggest commitment and fear was that let's not overdo this and go, for sentimentality in the film. And certainly with her and with our voiceover and all of that, we had to be very careful and always steer the music towards a more sort of song-like and kind of pop music approach, if you will, to her.
Mm-hmm. And for the parents as well, played by Julia Roberts and
yeah, there's nothing really for Owen. Julia has a beautiful scene, which I think it's very short, but I think it's so moving, and it's a great testament of how Stephen is a brilliant filmmaker, where you just see her having lunch by herself in the former study room that, you know, in her house, and that little moment, I think, tells you so much about who that character is, and that's the one sort of big Julia moment. And then, of course, when you know, during the play, there's that connection between her and her daughter that is really amazing and really and very, very, very emotional.
Was there a scene that was particularly difficult for you to come up with something for musically?
You know, they were, I have to say, they were all challenging. You know, there was no easy one that I can think of. The beginning is really kind of a big thing because it's 5 minutes and kind of is an overture, and of course that's always the big, you know, worry for a composer, is how to, you know, present your thing and help the film have its character. So we spent quite a bit of time on that, and it was interesting as we kept finding the music for the rest of the film, and we would sometimes bring back some ideas to the beginning as well. So it became kind of a medley of different themes that appear in the film.
Like you said before, I mean, this is very different from anything you've ever done. I mean, last year we were talking about Fences. You've also you've done a lot of TV work on things like The Affair. You know, I mean, like very, very different from this. What do you look for in the films or television shows that you decide to compose?
You know, I look for a connection that I can't, you know, I might not be able to explain. You know, a lot of these projects that come to you, they all have great stars and great stories, and, you know, and they, on paper, as we say, they are great. But even when a project is great, I might not connect to it, and then another composer might not connect to the same thing that I'm connecting to. And so I always look for that. I try to pay attention to my emotions, and after doing this for a while, I feel like I'm pretty attuned. And when I saw the film Wonder, I mean, I was crying. So there you go. There's no, you can't really fake that. And you know, that feeling remained through the rest of the film. And I think I'm just looking for that for a moment, whether it's a comedy or it's a drama, to look for that connection in my soul. And yeah, and this was very different. I always joke, this is one of there are no dead children in this film, you know, like, and it's like, you know, like, you know, obviously Fences and The Affair and all of that, they're very different subject matter. But musically, you know, the human condition is there's a lot in common too. So I think there's elements of my music that will work in either case, sometimes the same sort of exact spirit of a theme or something.
And what is your writing process like? I mean, does it vary from project to project? Has it evolved over the years?
It has evolved. I find myself writing more and more big chunks away from the picture now, you know, once I'm confident enough with the story. Certainly Wonder was like that. I wrote, after I had watched it, I wrote a lot of themes and just gave them numbers, really. And because I didn't want to tell them which characters I was thinking of, and Stephen was happy for me not to do that. He wanted to come to it in his own way. Sometimes music is very subjective. What you think is very obvious, you know, he might think differently. And so I did a pretty furious week of writing for this one, where I just wrote a lot of music, like 15 themes or something like that, and bombarded Stephen with them, and he was thrilled. And he actually, as it turns out, really liked to work like that and listen to that music, and he really internalized it. And then we started to find places for it. And at the same time, I would be writing for specific scenes, and it was a combination of both.
Was there anything that got left out that you were particularly sad to part with? Maybe you'll use it in another kid's movie.
Oh, there's always so much, you know. I mean, I believe in really writing a lot, and sometimes you have your own inner competition, you know. I mean, sometimes I will have like 3 contenders for a cue, like, you know, I'll write 3 themes, and sometimes we can't decide, and we, even as late as the dub, we will record multiple versions just to see, you know, how everything shapes up in the end. And sometimes it's not until the very end that you know what you have. And I'm a big believer in also taking music when it feels like there's too much. And certainly to the end, we're kind of sculpting it and taking a couple things out where it felt like there was just too much music.
Now, you are a 2-time Emmy nominee. What has that recognition meant for you in your career?
Oh, it's a big deal, and I mean it's amazing, you know. I mean, when you get that kind of recognition from your peers, it's incredible. And but you know, again, it's always about the work, and it's about keep coming back to it and trying to do something different. But you know, all this stuff is a lot of fun, and certainly, you know, if you're lucky enough to be nominated for something, it is a great feeling. But it's really not why we do it.
Well, you got another wonderful movie here. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure chatting with you again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Zach. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Have a good one.